to start building these axles. I got everything laid out on the table in front of me for this first step, and we'll go ahead and get started. First thing we got, front diff cover. Gets two bearings pressed into it, a small one in the front and a large one in the back. These popped in. Make sure they sit flush. Same thing on the back side. Nice, good snap. We're in there nice and flush. You just want to make sure they're flush because it's also going to control the depth on our pinion. I got them put together. Take this very nice steel pinion gear, drop it in through our bearings, and just give it a good spin to make sure everything spins nice and free. Part one of this step done. And the next thing we got, we're going to take our axle housing, which these are keyed. Further in the steps, when the mounts start going on, there's a small nub here that keys in, so you want to make sure that you have them facing the right direction. It's going to be the rear axle, so we want them facing the front of the vehicle. So our drive shaft also comes out of the transfer case this way. So we're going to take our nice little hub here that we just built, nice little pumpkin, line it all up. And again, it keys in really nice. So now we got that done. We got 5 screws. Get these all started. Or CVD joint the right way for these. If this was an actual race car, or my 8-scale buggy, or 10th scale, or even a 5th scale, be heat shrinking the pins to lock them in. We're not going to do that on this just because of the amount of flex it sees. I want to be able to get back in there if I'm on the trail and I lose a drive pin. I don't want to have to take a bunch of stuff with me to cut it out when I can just replace the pin. The other issue, or not really an issue, the other thing that'd probably be an disadvantage, these drive shafts aren't ever going to be turned in the kind of RPM that we see on the race cars, ever. Or the severe angles that we see on the race cars landing from jumps. So definitely want to make sure they're Loctited in. Definitely want to make sure they're lined up correct. But I don't think we'll have as much of an issue with this particular truck and these CV axles, the way they go together, that we would have on the bigger, faster cars. So let's go ahead and get this started. First thing we got is our drive cut. One side's bigger than the other. See where it's machined down. The big side's going to go against our axle, or our drive shaft. Big side's going to go against our axle. Thin side's going to go out to our drive shaft. We have a larger pin that goes in here that threads into this and the pinion that'll lock it in place. The second smaller hole is what actually allows our CV axles to flex so our drive shafts don't bind up when the suspension's articulating and doing its thing. We're going to take, we need this. It's the other half of the CVD. You can see it's cut. It's got a groove in it. This allows the pin that we're getting ready to put in to rotate. And then we have a barrel that goes in here. Right here. It's small. It's probably hard to see. It's a piece of aluminum. And it's threaded on the end for a very small set screw to go in. This will thread together, slide in like so, and sit in there. And we want to set it so that the hole that the pin slides through is lined up the best we can in the center of the groove I just showed you. Take our outer shaft piece here. We're going to drop this in and hold everything and line it up in the hole. And this very small pin is keyed, machined away to accept the set screw we're going to put in. So I drop this in, line it up, and face the flat side towards where our set screw is going to go. This is slightly the tricky part. Let me set that down for a second and get my Allen and my screw ready to go. Take our very small set screw, put a little bit of Loctite on it because you definitely want to Loctite this screw. Then the way this works is make sure our pin stays centered and that we're facing our groove. Now I slid it in so the groove is mostly facing this, but it did rotate a little bit, so we'll use our Allen key to center the pin back up. Alright, so now what you want to do is you want to flex this joint as far as you can get it. That gives you just enough room to take this set screw and run it in. And you'll know if you got on the flat of the pin, because if you don't, the set screw won't sit flush and the joint will bind up when you get it done. So there we have our little universal joint all done. It's got nice free range of movement on it. We can take our other stub half of the drive shaft. It's plastic and it's board. Axial's been using this kind of design for a long time. Traxxas used to use it for the drive shafts on their trucks. It's durable. It holds up quite nicely. And we slide our aluminum universal in. Take our small button head screw. Put just a dab of Loctite on the end of it. And take and run it all the way down through this piece of drive shaft until we feel it key in. And lock it in nice and tight. There we go. Now, take this whole stub assembly and our axle we put together in the last step. And one side of this is threaded and the other side is not. We want to take the side that's threaded, face it towards us. Take our drive pin, which is a hardened steel pin that's threaded on one side. Put a little bit of Loctite on the threads and drop it in, making sure it lines up and goes through the pinion shaft. Rotate it on me a little bit. Make sure it drops through everything. Then we'll take our Allen wrench and we'll thread this all the way in. We'll thread this pin all the way in until it completely bottoms out. And give it another good turn. That locks our pinion in. Very little play. You want a little bit here just for the gears to walk when they get worn. And that gets our drive shaft connected to our axle housing. Now, next step we got lovely. Cannot believe how well these gears are cut. They are CNC, beautifully done ring gears. This is the other CNC part. It's really nice. I was talking about at the beginning of this. This is a locker. There's no excess weight going on here. There's not any extra material than what it needs. It's not cast. It's CNC. Should never have an issue with this cracking or breaking or anything otherwise goofy going on the trail. So this just takes, lines up. We have 3 recessed holes here for our tapered screws. This side lines up right there in the center. Grab our taper head screws. Allen. Put that Loctite on. Make sure they go on the side that's recessed. I have seen people assemble these backwards and wonder why they won't fit in axles. That's happened. Everybody makes mistakes. And we just get that started. Take another one. A little bit of Loctite. Thread it in. Again, when you're working with this stuff, you don't need to tighten them all down. You want to make sure you get them all started before you crank them down. Keeps from warping parts, keeps from binding stuff up, keeps from stripping screws, which is just a whole other nightmare to get into. Alright, so I'll get all these locked down, and come back when we're ready to put this in our axle shaft. Alright, sorry about that, guys. It's going to be a little weird cut here. I ran out of room on my phone and had to free up some space. So, got all the screws sunk in, tightened up on our differential gear.
got our bearings put on both ends. Now, I will say these are pretty nice. These are little keyed bearing holders to line up the differential very nice in this axle. I'm going to take, they pop right over the bearing. Grab our other one. Pop it right over the bearing. Maybe. There we go. Get them popped in, make sure they spin free. And we're going to add some grease to these. Grab our little tub of grease. Slide that right on pretty good. Because these are going to see moisture, everything else at the lowest point of your truck. So you want to make sure that you have plenty of grease here. And like I said, after I get these ran in and make sure everything's going good, I will be taking and probably repacking this whole assembly with marine grade grease. And I'll do a whole nother video on that. Show you guys how to clean the axle. So take this, drop it in. Make sure that you are going the right way so you don't end up with two axles that are trying to spin in the same direction when you're done. Get it pushed in there all the way nice and flush, and make sure it spins nice and free, and everything in there spinning good. So now we can take our diff cover, which has Hobao, however you want to say it, molded straight in it. Make sure it's facing the right direction. Line it up on our housing. 5 screws that'll go in it. Get them put in, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, got all of our covers on, everything's sealed up. Now we're going to get our axles put in, slid in, our lockouts put on. When we get done, this rear axle will be ready to put in the truck. Everything on this thing spins nice and free, and just very much of a pleasure of a kit to build. So let's get started. So first thing we got to do is take our axles. They're both hardened steel. Always double check. Sometimes directions aren't real clear, but they are both the same length. Have seen kits where they're not, and we'll get into issues if you don't double check. So first thing we do, we got to grab a couple bearings. Just grab all 4 of them. Bearings. We got one slides over here. Get the other one. Slides over this part. Get done. We have 2 bearings stacked on our shaft. Now comes the interesting part. I don't know if you guys can see through there or not. I really don't have the greatest lighting to try and show it to you. But we've got to thread this axle through the housing and line it up with the slot in the locker we installed against our diff gear. Get it done. There we go. Just like so. Everything spins nice and free. Again, when you're doing these rotating assemblies, guys, you want to make sure that everything stays free. That way, you don't get the whole thing built and find out you have an issue that you need to tear the whole thing back apart to catch. Slide our axles back, slide all the bearings on this one, hold our other one in, find our home where everything wants to drop in, and there we go. When you're done, it'll all lock into place very nicely. So now we got these done. These are our lockouts. Now we want these facing straight up. These will eventually be our shock mounts. So if you look, it's not the same all the way around. So it looks like they want me to line it up. There's no marks on it. Usually on these, your high-end aftermarkets will have an alignment mark for straight. But this looks like they want me to line it up straight on the mold lines. Slide this on and see how that gets me. Off a tooth. Sorry about that, drop bearing. I'll be editing that out. So, I'm going to get this lined up to where everything's straight with our axle and get it all the way on. So, we got our screws found, all that stuff. But the directions want us to drop these in from the top and hang the nuts off the bottom, and I just don't like that. It'll be a huge snag point on the truck. You guys can see how far this thing's down. They're not going to be in the way, so we're going to flip these around, put the nuts on the top. That'll complete everything for this rear axle, and I'll be back with how we do our front axle and get it assembled. It'll be another video because this one came out way longer than I thought it would. But on the front one, I'll build everything off camera that's the same as this axle. Then I'll come back and on camera show you guys all the differences between the two axles, and then we can get them put in the truck. See you guys later. Remember to like and subscribe.